Happy Monday! Oh, yeah, come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com. Hey, it's Monday! It's not TGIM, but do want to point out, very glad to be back. Friday, I was going to do a show, so today I'm going to do a bit of a how to play and also review The Thing Infection at Outpost 31. Now, this edition here I've got was from USAopoly. And the game is now through Mondo Games and Project Raygun. But, so I was going to do my review on Friday and got a call. I know folks who watch The Daily Dope understand that on occasion I watch my niece and nephew, so that is what happened last minute. So, anyway, and then I was going to do a show on Saturday to kind of make up for it. And I basically ended up watching the kids for the weekend. So, I mean, yeah, that's cool. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just finding out it's kind of all set to do the review because I've been waiting on it for a while. And I'll explain why it's taken me a while to actually get a review of The Thing Infection at Outpost 31 done. So, anyway, today is episode 244 of The Daily Dope. It is a live stream. I know a vast majority of people do watch after the fact, but I do want to point out that there is chat available. I do pay attention to it. There's chat on YouTube. So if you want to say hello, if you have a question, maybe there's something about The Thing, as we're taking a look at that, you want a little clarification on, then by all means, feel free to chime in. Now, chat is not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the stranger commenters at bay, but I do pay attention to it. So if you do chime in, if you are watching live right now and you chime in, I will respond. So, got some news today. Actually, I got a good chunk of news today. But before I jump into that, did want to talk about something. Now, if you're in a role-playing game, then you're probably aware of the situation that kind of broke, I believe it was yesterday. And it's something that I think our industry really needs to take a look at, both professionally as well as just gamers. And I'm not going to get into like a he said, she said kind of thing, but if you are familiar with Zak S or Zak Sabbath, as he likes to go by, and he has done quite a lot of role-playing game products over the years. He's done most of his focus has kind of been with Lamentations of the Flame Princess or OSR stuff that can be played with anything, but kind of focused towards Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Well, for years there's been talk about this guy's just a creep, right? And his girlfriend yesterday, ex-girlfriend, I guess I'll say now, posted a pretty long piece on her Facebook page talking about the abuse that she had undergone from Zak S. And, you know, it's something that, you know, I've even heard some people saying, hey, you know, well, you know, you gotta, you know, kind of separate the art from the artist sometimes. Well, I'll tell you what, if you think games are art, then you're a little more pompous than you should be. And I know there are some game designers out there who are pushing this whole, yes, game design is art. It's bullshit. It's, you know, that's like saying, yeah, making a tasty snack is an art, right? They want, you know, some of these people want to put, you know, gaming design up there with, you know, sculpture and actual painting and things like that, or literature as art. Anyway, getting off subject there a little bit, but So for years, there had been talk that Zak S was a creep, and a lot of people were out there and they were apologists for him and said, well, oh well, he makes these great adventure modules and sandbox, adventures and settings and things like that for role playing games. So we'll let him slide. And I know a lot of publishers have actually kind of let it slide as well. The back channel talk about him being just a sleazebag, a user, an abuser, and it's not something that this industry needs. I mean, and it's high time that we as gamers start stepping up to the plate as well. It's like, oh well, so this guy doesn't write adventure modules for role playing games anymore. If enough people decide, hey, we're not buying this crap, oh well, that's how it goes. We don't need people like that in the industry. Now, I'll be the first to admit, it was about 4 years ago, 3.5, 4 years ago, I actually interviewed Zak S for a podcast. I was in Mishawaka, Indiana at the time, and I was going to use the interview as, just as a podcast release, right? I was shooting some video, but of course it wasn't like, Monday through Friday stuff. Talked to him, interviewed him for about an hour. Just didn't dig the guy. Just, he came across as a creep, kind of a jag. And I actually never shared that interview. And at that point, I was like, you know what? There's something about this guy is off. I don't like this guy. I'm not going to kind of get into a lot of detail. There were, I believe, was a couple of women who were in the room with him during the interview as well. He had video. I was seeing video of him. I didn't have a video camera set up for my side of the the interview and that, but it seemed like just not the kind of person I wanted to promote their products. So I haven't. You can look on thegaminggang.com. You might see me say, oh, I think in 2017, Lamentations of the Flame Princess had a bundle of holding. I may have shared that, but as far as anything else, any of the products that Zak S has been the lead designer on or a main designer on, I have not shared any sort of information about those. And it's like I said, it's just something that we have to put our feet down and say, enough's enough. Another great example. I don't share really anything from Frog God Games, who does the actually really well-regarded Swords and Wizardry old school RPG because of the stories I've heard about Bill Webb. And there was an incident at, I want to say, PaizoCon that was not too kosher. I don't have to provide any sort of promotion or news about any of these people. And if I'll be very honest, if I think you're not a decent human being, I'm not sharing stuff. So I think it's high time that people stop making excuses for shitty people who are in our hobby simply because we like their games or we like their adventures or designs or what have you. Now, can't do it anymore. We cannot do it anymore. So, and I know people are going to disagree with me, and that's their prerogative. I'm just telling you, that is my opinion on this. All right, so moving right along. Do want to point out, if you like the video, which after I pontificated, you're probably like, noob, thumbs down. Anyway, if you do like the video, by all means, please give it a thumbs up. Catch some of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel, and you dig them, by all means, subscribe. Ring that little bell. Because if you do, not only will you be notified when there's a new video, you'll also be notified when the stream goes live. And I do have to point out, I was a few minutes late today. Another sound sync thing. Another sound sync. I had to mess around with sound sync. But it was all in sync when I launched, when I started the stream. So, fingers crossed, I think we are in good shape. All right, so I pontificated for about 10 minutes to start the show. Thankfully, there are show notes that have timestamps. Speaking of timestamps, I'm going to be doing the news now. I know there are some folks out there who do not like the tabletop gaming news. So if you are one of those folks, look in the show notes below. Check out the timestamp, and you can skip right ahead. You can skip right to when I start talking about the thing. All right, so talking about another science fiction franchise. If you're a Star Wars fan, well, probably going to be excited about a new Star Wars board game that is coming from Fantasy Flight Games, and I've got the dope on Star Wars Outer Rim. Far from the shadows of Coruscant's skyscrapers lies the dangerous Outer Rim. To many citizens, the galaxy's edge represents a hive of scum and villainy that is better left ignored. But to the scoundrels of the galaxy, the Outer Rim represents opportunity. If you can survive the harsh conditions of the edge of space, you may just find yourself emerging from the grime of the underworld as one of the most famous scoundrels in the galaxy. Fantasy Flight Games is proud to announce Star Wars Outer Rim, a game of bounty hunters, mercenaries, and smugglers for 1 to 4 players. Sweet. You play it just solo, nice. As Han Solo. In Outer Rim, you take on the role of an underworld denizen, setting out to make your mark on the galaxy. You'll travel the Outer Rim in your personal ship, hire legendary Star Wars characters to join your crew, try to become the most famous or infamous outlaw in the galaxy. But it won't be easy. The warring factions of the galaxy roam the Outer Rim, hunting down the scum that have proven to be a thorn in their side, and other scoundrels looking to make their mark see you as the perfect target to bring down and bolster their own reputation. Do you have what it takes to survive in the Outer Rim and become a living legend? Will you make a name for yourself by hunting bounties for the Hutts, stealing for crime syndicates, or smuggling goods past Imperial patrols? All this and more is possible as you adventure through the outskirts of the known galaxy. Set your coordinates, gather your crew, and make the jump to hyperspace with Outer Rim. Outer Rim is, as I mentioned, for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in 2 to 3 hours, so it's going to have some solid gameplay in there. It's going to carry an MSRP of $64.95 when it touches down in Q2 of this year. Sweet. This looks interesting. I gotta say, this really does look interesting. Strangely enough, and I am a big Star Wars fan. Don't get me wrong. I am a big Star Wars fan. I just, I never jumped into X-Wing. I never jumped into Armada or Legion. Now, the minis look great. And personally, probably, in my opinion, I would probably be more into Legion than anything else. Simply because I like skirmish level, man-on-man combat miniatures games. I've just never really... Actually, I don't even think I've played a Fantasy Flight Star Wars game. For a second, I was trying to remember if I had or not, because for a second, I was like, well, wait a second. I was like, no, that wasn't Fantasy Flight. That was West End Games way back in the day. So this looks pretty cool, and it's on the horizon. We'll have it before summer. We'll see it sometime in spring. Usually when Fantasy Flight Games releases the news about a new game, it's usually out within about 2 to 3 months. Tops. So this looks very interesting. Hey, interestingly enough, on a side note, they're talking about Edge of the Galaxy, right? So there's an audiobook series that I started listening to, and it's kind of like Star Wars, but not Star Wars. And it's the series is like Edge of the Galaxy, and it's almost kind of like Marines in space, as in U.S. Marines in space. Really entertaining. Really entertaining. Now, I can't remember the 2 people who are the authors, but yeah, I've been listening to the audiobooks at night, and I'm like, I'm really surprised how much I like this. So, pretty sweet. Anywho, let's stick with the science fiction, because the 3rd release in the Captain is Dead series from AEG is on the horizon, and I've got the dope on The Captain is Dead, Dangerous Planet. The intrepid crew escaped the alien prison in lockdown. Now, having been assigned a 3rd captain, Captain number 3, Three's the charm, right? Lucky number. They're on their first away mission, taking their shuttlecraft to the surface of an abandoned alien planet. They are tasked with discovering alien relics that may point to why the alien empire detests our space fleet so much, and how we may one day forge peace. Of course, your new captain was very diplomatic, and upon entering and encountering giant bugs that may very well be the reason the aliens abandoned the planet, he chose to attempt to communicate. The bugs communicated by biting his head clean off. So now, once again, without a captain, the crew must attempt to complete the mission by exploring tunnels and obtaining relics, all while fighting off a swarm of bugs. The Captain is Dead Dangerous Planet uses the mechanisms of the Captain is Dead in a whole new way. Though, through exploration and area defense, you'll try to survive long enough to obtain the necessary relics, but should the bugs attack the shuttlecraft enough times, you won't be able to escape. The Dangerous Planet tunnel system is modular for easier and harder challenges. Game is for 2 to 7 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 60 to 90 minutes. The Captain is Dead Dangerous Planet will carry an MSRP of $49.99 when it arrives on June 12th. Which, interestingly enough, I think for some strange reason, some of the distributors are indicating that the Captain is Dead Dangerous Planet is going to be out in May. But according to AEG, they say June 12th. So I gotta believe AEG when they say this is when it's coming out. We liked the Captain is Dead Lockdown. That was fun. That's a fun game. Not for everybody, I must admit, but I gotta be honest, I'm surprised that they called this Dangerous Planet. Kind of sounds flat. I would have thought, Perilous Planet, Planet of Peril, something like that, with a little kind of, a little pulpiness to it would have been the key, but I guess not. Dangerous Planet's going to have to work. And like I said, it arrives June 12th. All right, for the wargamers out there, Columbia Games has a Kickstarter that's currently running. They're planning on bringing Combat Infantry East Front 1942 to 43 wargamers everywhere. I gotta admit, I do not have any info I can share with you because all of their sell sheet info was embedded in images on the Kickstarter. And I am not going to sit there and retype everything off of images to share news. But I did want to share the news because I like Columbia Games. It's been quite a while. Oh gosh, it's probably been about 6 years since I had an opportunity to review a Columbia game. But I definitely dug them. Julius Caesar, Stonewall. I thought there was a third that I had reviewed. I ought to try to reach out to Grant and Tom. See about maybe getting back on board with them somehow. I think it fell apart when I moved. Basically how it worked. When I left Arizona, things got weird with some of the companies that I did reviews for in the past. Anywho, but I do have their Kickstarter video. It's only about a minute long. So let's take a peek at Combat Infantry Eastern Front. I think it says East Front. Yes, it's East Front.
Combat Infantry East Front is a new standalone game of tactical level combat set in World War II using the critically acclaimed Columbia block system. You take command of up to 3 companies of Soviet or German forces on 2 new exciting geomorphic maps, showing both a dense Russian cityscape and a challenging steppe battlefield. All elements can be combined with Combat Infantry West Front. The tools for creating your own what-if scenarios are at your command. Combat Infantry East Front. Your command awaits.
Right now, Combat Infantry East Front is over 125% funded, and you can reserve a copy of the core game for a $69 pledge. This is through March 10th. I do believe for $138 you can get both East Front and West Front, so you can get both games, because West Front's already been out. Now, one thing that's pretty cool too is expected delivery is August of this year. Gotta say, the Columbia Fog of War block games, I believe they pretty much kind of created that whole genre of games. I like them. I always like them. And it's funny because if you don't play them too often, first thing some gamers will think is like, oh yeah, I can obviously figure out, I'll remember which one of those blocks was that big army or, whatever. Never happens. Never happens. Yeah, there's tricks to making sure people can't figure stuff out like that. Hey, so if you're wondering, how come I was sharing some Kickstarter info after I was talking about how I'm not sharing Kickstarter info? I never said I'm not sharing Kickstarters. I said I am not sharing Kickstarters from companies I know nothing about, people I have never heard of before, or companies who have never offered up like a review copy of anything to myself or anyone else involved with the gaming gang. So, Columbia Games, on the other hand, they're okay. I used to do reviews for them, so all good with Columbia Games. All good with the next company I'm going to talk about. We're going to move into RPGs now, because Stygian Fox has a new Kickstarter running for the latest Call of Cthulhu supplement, and this time it's part of the Hudson and... Did I say Hudson? It's Hudson. Hudson 82700. If you're from Chicago and you're, older, you'll remember that. Anywho, it was a phone number for a carpet company, I think. Hudson 82700. Anyway, it is part of the Hudson and Brand lineup of Gaslight Adventures. Here's the dope. Hudson and Brand Shadows of the Past presents a trio of linked scenarios set in Victorian London, where players of the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game, published by Chaosium Inc., hooray, must thwart an ancient cult that seeks vengeance against the Empire for its activities in Africa. While this anthology collection builds upon the setting established in Hudson and Brand, Inquiry Agents of the Obscure, say that 5 times fast, it stands on its own, and the first book is not needed for these scenarios to be enjoyed. I'd probably recommend it. The 150-page main book will contain 3 scenarios. Scenario seeds, based on the events and NPCs introduced in each scenario, and their impact on the historical record. All maps, handouts, and NPCs will be included in appendices in the book PDF/PDF for easy reference and printing. 10 pre-generated player characters will also be included in an appendix. Taking inspirational clues, duh. I see Sherlock Holmes and I'm like, clues, no, cues. It's only English, Jeff, right? Taking inspirational cues from Sherlock Holmes, Ripper Street, good show. Auguste Dupin, The Suspicions of Mr. Witcher. That's a book. I read that book. Unless they made it into a TV show or something, a BBC or something that I'm not aware of, but yeah, I read that book. And The Incendiary's Trail. The book takes a mature look at the horror of mythos, machinations, and the many dark corners in the seat of empire. Funds for this Kickstarter will go towards commissioning more art and the hiring of more writers and creatives of quality to expand the book. Funds will also go towards printing and distribution. Stygian Fox does have a short Kickstarter video, a couple minutes long. Kick back and enjoy. The project is over 400% funded as of right now, and you can reserve a copy of the Adventure Supplement and Stretch Goals in a digital format for a $19 pledge, or you can grab the physical releases, which will be in softcover, for a $32 pledge. Project runs through March 1st with an expected delivery on these digital items in January of next year and the physical books February of next year. Bummer. I would have hoped that gotten it a little bit quicker than that, but I did read, if you were paying attention, that some of the funds that they're going to bring in from the Kickstarter are going to be used to bring in more writers to actually beef up the supplement itself, because I think it's at 150 pages right now. So I have to say, I did not see, I am not familiar with Hudson and Brand. What is it? Inquiries of the Obscure, or whatever. Inquirers of the Obscure. But I did review the PDF of The Things We Leave Behind, which is modern Call of Cthulhu from Stygian Fox, and it was excellent. It was phenomenal. I can't remember what I gave it as far as a review score off the top of my head, but I know it was over 9, so it was that good. And like I said, I've heard good things about the Hudson and Brand source book. Excuse me. And one thing that's pretty cool is it actually provides kind of like a base of operations for your investigators. I believe they inherit a house from Hudson and Brand because the player characters aren't Hudson and Brand. But yeah, I've heard some good stuff about it. But definitely take a quick peek. And, $19 pledge for the PDF and all the unlocked stretch goals, $32 for the soft covers. Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Although I think the stretch goals are all going to be digital. Anywho, moving right along. I got 3 pieces of role-playing game news tonight. So that's the first one. Next one. End publishing. Oh, sorry about that. There we go. Duh. Hey, that was weird. I don't know why I had my little host come where it was just me talking. I wasn't even paying attention to the I wasn't even paying attention to the monitor that shows what you're seeing. Yeah. Anyway, End Publishing has a new genre book available for their What is Old is New role-playing game system. And I've got the dope on Spirits of Manhattan. There's something strange going on. Or, as I can possibly say, when there's something strange in the neighborhood, strap on your anti-plasm particle thrower, grab your electromagnetic field detector, and jump into your ghost mobile. I think we know where this is going, right? New York City needs your help. Battle ghostly creeps, phantasmal drakes, shriekers, slime buckets, and terror dogs. Play as a half ghost. How can you be a half ghost? Take up a career as a demonologist or exorcist. Learn the skills of parapsychology, cryptozoology, and parazoology. I'm not familiar with parazoology. And try not to do too much collateral damage. Learn all about the highly dangerous and extremely experimental ghost fighting equipment. Read about a variety of different types of undead horror in Tobias's Guide to Ghosts, Spooks, and Specters. Brush up on key locations in New York City, such as Columbia University, the Glitzman Hotel, an Engine 30 fire station, and butt heads with pure protection of undead returned entities. That's kind of funny. This fast, fun, and not at all serious source book for the What is Old is New role-playing game includes all the material you need to run your own ghost-breaking campaign, along with the adventure Spirits of Manhattan. The 75-page supplement is available right now in PDF for $9.99 from DriveThruRPG. Huh. Can we say Ghostbusters? I mean, obviously enough. I had the Ghostbusters RPG. I've said it umpteen times. If you watch the show, you have heard me say this before, that I wish I had all the games that I've had in my collections over the years. It would be worth a pretty penny But yeah, I had the Ghostbusters role-playing game, and I'm trying to remember. For some reason, I think that was a West End Games title too. I think. But yeah, I always thought that I can't imagine like doing a whole big long campaign as ghost hunters. But I think it would probably be pretty cool for a few sessions. So definitely check this out. I have heard it's another series I've heard pretty good things about. Is the What's Old is New, kind of an OSR, not completely OSR type of system. All right, and my final news piece: fans awaiting the physical release of the 4th edition Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay starter set. Well, they only have a few more months to wait. Yep, getting closer. Here's the dope. The Woofum. I don't know. I just like to say Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I know a lot of people out there familiar with the game are like, Woofum. Anyway, the starter set contains everything needed to bring the grim and perilous world of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay to life. Whether role-playing for the first time or preparing for your next epic campaign, this box is for you. Let us review the contents of the box. Oh, let us. The adventure book invites players of all experience levels into the rich role-playing background of Ubersreich. Yes, it is Reich. I have been corrected. Yes. It is Reich, not Reek, it's Reich. For beginners, the starter adventure, Making the Rounds, introduces the harsh realities of life in the troubled fortress town. It takes you step by step through the rules. For more experienced hands, there are 10 scenarios aimed to expand your Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay games, offering new locations, new characters, and new horrors to uncover. Coming in at 40 pages, the adventure book is the ideal launching point for any new campaign, and it can keep your Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay group busy for several months. The 64-page A Guide to Ubersreich highlights the bloody history and recent invasion of Ubersreich, examines more than 70 locations in the troubled town, details the surrounding fiefdoms. Is it fiefdoms or fiefdoms? No, it'd be fiefdoms. And introduces a wide array of antagonist cults. Boy, my tongue's getting all tied tonight. Doesn't help that it's another really dry evening down here at the Duct Tape Studios. Anyway, and introduces a wide array of antagonist cults at large in the area. I hate when that happens. In addition, every entry comes with 2 adventure hooks, meaning every location, character, and political pitfall the book presents has examples of how to use them in your games of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Just using the scores of adventure hooks alone, there are potentially years of play on offer. It also presents bestiary entries, potions, and even a new disease, making a guide to Ubersreich an essential addition to any Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay library. With over 100 pages of adventures, rules, and setting, as well as maps, handouts, custom dice from Q Workshop, advantage tokens, rules references, ready-made characters, a simple GM screen, and more, this box set is the perfect starting point for anyone interested in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. The starter set is set for a June release. It was May. It has changed to June. And it will carry an MSRP of $29.99. Now, I do have to point out, the PDF is available right now at DriveThruRPG. Want to pick it up there. If I remember correctly, I think it's $14.99 for the PDF as of right now. But I know there were some folks out there. I was, let's say it was, I think it was a Coriolis book that we were looking at, the Emissary Lost book. And someone in chat popped up and they were asking, "Hey Jeff, are you gonna review the starter set from Cubicle 7 for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay?" And I said, I don't know. I mean, I reviewed the core book and actually did a page through, and then I did a review a couple weeks later. In fact, people are still chiming in. I think somebody just commented today on the video, saying, hey, they really, really appreciated that they got to see the whole book. But I was like, I don't know. I'll have to reach out to Dom and the gang over at Cubicle 7 to see if I can review the starter box. Because I gotta say, $30 for a starter box like that. Now, granted, the books are, I think they're soft cover. I don't think they're paper. I don't think they're like paper, like say the D&D starter box, which is very cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's not not soft cover. $30 for all that stuff, including your dice. That's a pretty nice deal, pretty sweet deal, and it sounds like it's jam packed with stuff. So I did hear back. And yes, I will be reviewing the starter box. It is at the printers right now. That's why I mentioned people thought it was going to be May. It's going to be June for the release. I just got that today. My PR contact, because I don't bother Dominic with everything. My PR contact over at Cubicle 7 did tell me that it's going to be a June release. But they're also going to send along ahead of time. They're sending the physical books for the Breland region guide for Adventures in Middle Earth, as well as the brand new adventure supplement that came out for the One Ring, The Laughter of Dragons. So we are going to get a chance to take a peek at that pretty soon. All right, so I am going to jump into my how to play and review of the thing in just a couple moments. Do want to point out once again that the Gaming Gang, thus the Daily Dope, completely nonprofit. Any funds, any finances, anything we pull in above and beyond the operating costs for the website, as well as the show itself, which isn't much, is donated to Lil Bub's Big Fund, the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. I am a huge proponent. Now, Lil Bub's Big Fund actually creates grants for organizations who care for animals with special needs who are awaiting adoption, waiting for their forever homes, as people like to say. And these animals can have a variety of things. They might just be older pets. They may be blind. They could be deaf. They may have mobility issues. They're, they just need a little extra care, right? But if you were to adopt a pet like that, you're going to get paid back in love, like tenfold out of the extra efforts. But anyway, Lil Bub's Big Fun does create grants to help these different organizations that are caring for special needs animals. And Lil Bub is a special needs animal herself. Beautiful cat, lovely cat. I watch videos of Lil Bub all the time. Seems like just the sweetest thing. And I'm just a big softie. Anyway, to learn more about the Lil Bub's Big Fund, let's hear from Lil Bub herself. All right, so there you have it, straight from the kitty's mouth. So, hey, I'd rather be doing this than say, oh, hey, go to my Patreon, send me money, blah, blah. Nah. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I didn't get into this to get rich, which is a good thing. Because certainly did not. But I do want to also point out, because I have had people email me about little, it's not little, it's Lil, Lil Bub. In fact, I've got my little magic bub. Little Bub as a wizard. When I saw that, I had to get that. Anyway, I have mentioned before, if you go to lilbub, that's LILBUB.com, you can learn all about Lil Bub and her dude. Not so much about the dudette in the kiddos in the family, but more about Lil Bub and her dude. And there is a store, and I do want to point out, I just ordered some more stuff because they're having a special clearance sale. Because I guess they have to change warehouses, so I've got a Lil Bub mug coming, and I've got a bigger stuffed Lil Bub. Just, well, you know what? Here's the thing, though. So Lil Bub and her dude have actually raised over $500,000 to support special needs animals, and over 5 million free bowls of, I believe it's called Halo pet food, um, has been donated to shelters around the country. So pretty cool, pretty sweet. Okay, so what's coming up on the show this week? Well, first of all, let me show you what arrived from my pal Mark H. Walker and Tiny Battle Publishing. So I get this package, I get this box. I want to say it was Saturday. So I'm like, oh, it must be a game in here. And I look and I'm like, Tiny Battle Publishing. I'm like, what would they be sending me in a good sized box, right? Well, all right. So got Space Vermin from Beyond, right? So this is number 2 in the Herman Luttman Space Marines, Galactic Marines. I don't know. Can we say Space Marines? I can say Space Marines series. So that although Herman did not design this one, isn't this Fred Manzo? Yep, Fred Manzo, who I've met. He's a good buddy of Herman's. Fred's really nice. So I had that. I got Yeah Magazine. Yep, Yeah Magazine. Which one was this? Was this 10? This is 10. Wait a second. No. Wow, this is number 4. They sent number 4. Okay, so Yeah Magazine number 4. Ready for another one? This is Yeah Magazine. I know I shared the news on this one. Which one is this? Another issue of Yeah Magazine. This is the one with Lion of Malta in it. But it doesn't say the number. I think maybe this is number 10. We got that. We got In the Trenches. Coup de grace. I think this is just an expansion for In the Trenches. Because I got another one, Battle Pack 3, In the Trenches, Through the Flames. Sticks and Stones, which is this is the series where when I was talking about Deluxe Platoon Commander, The Battle of Kursk, that's from Flying Pig Games. This is actually, I was mentioning, hey, if you want to find out how the game actually kind of plays without investing in a big box game to pick this up, well, there you go, Sticks and Stones. Got Chile 73, which actually looks pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. It is not a war game. It is a game of intrigue, uprising, and revolution. We got that. I'm not done yet. I've got Winter Thunder, which is it's a Battle of the Bulge game. I joke all the time. It's like, do we really need another Battle of the Bulge game? Do we? Do we? I don't know. But hey, this is a small footprint game. Got Korea 1950. We got Korea 1950 here. And then, you may have noticed in Yeah Magazine, there was Poland Strikes. Well, here we go. Here's the actual game itself outside of being in Yeah Magazine. So, very, very cool. Although, so here was the weird thing. So, Mark emails me and he asks, hey, did you get, is it Battle of, right, I'm trying to remember which way. It's like an Afghanistan war game. And Zombie Wars. I said, actually, no. I didn't. Got all of these games, but did not get it. And I got to be honest, I got the 2 In the Trenches expansions, but there's no like base. I don't have the base game. I have to laugh sometimes because sometimes game publishers think that I have all of their games or something. It's like, no. But we are going to be digging through a lot of these. This is going to be pretty cool. Tiny Battle Publishing reminds me a little bit of Victory Point Games way back in the day, except the component quality is a little different. Not as desktop publishing ish as Victory Point Games were, although Victory Point Games titles, for the most part, were excellent games. Anyway, so I wanted to share that. So on tomorrow's show, I'm going to take a look at Ascension Deliverance. This is the latest core set for Ascension. This is from Stoneblade Entertainment and Ultra Pro International. So it's international. I just did the international. So I am going to be taking a look at this tomorrow. Wednesday's show, we may actually do kind of a quick unboxing of one of the Tiny Battle Publishing games. And then I know some people are going to be like, I don't know, because I included the unboxing, I did it on a War Game Wednesday, but there is a method to my madness because it is conflict game Australia from my good friends over at Stronghold Games, designed by Martin Wallace. See, it's actually the first Martin Wallace design that for Stronghold. It's not his first design; it's his first design for Stronghold. Thursday, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not sure what I'm doing on Thursday for RPG Thursdays. Fridays, I'm bouncing around because I'm trying to kind of iron out the format to the Daily Dope. So I'm trying to kind of do it where like Tuesdays will be an interview. I would like to be able to do something like that. Have Tuesdays be like an interview night. Do the news, have a nice interview that's maybe, half hour, 45 minutes, depending, Sometimes I talk to some really interesting people, so if it's an hour, right? But I would like to do those on Tuesday. Monday kind of just be anything, right? Whatever happens to be, floating around, we're gonna take care of. Wednesdays are still War Game Wednesdays because those are actually sponsored by Flying Big Games and Tiny Battle Publishing. Mark H. Walker, he's my sponsor on Wednesdays. But that doesn't mean that's all we're going to show off, right? That's why I'm actually doing a Stronghold Games review on Wednesday. Then on Thursdays, do RPGs. Then on Fridays, I am thinking of maybe making Fridays more along the lines of a like more indie publisher or smaller press kind of game. So, like for an example, like Tiny Battle Publishing would fall into the Fridays. So would Flying Pig Games because it's not a huge company. So on Friday's show, I will be reviewing Master of Wills from Stormcrest Games. So that will be on Friday's show. I've got this stuff all over, just all over the place. So that is what's on the horizon next week on Wargame Wednesday. I did not pull it down. You can see there's my empty spot that Australia was in. I believe next Wednesday I am going to share a little bit of a how to play as well as a review of Space Core from GMT Games. Really, really interesting game. Very, very interesting game. And pretty cool because it's got solitaire to it as well. All right, so there you have it. Let's move on to a little bit about how to play and review of The Thing. I want to say it is The Thing Infection at Outpost 31. It is from Mondo Games and Project Raygun. Want to point out, as I started the show off, that this is actually this edition was from USAopoly. USAopoly is no longer selling The Thing Infection at Outpost 31. It is available now from Mondo Games and Project Raygun. It may be out of print, but I do believe it is going to be back in print soon. It is designed by Joe Van Wettering, with art provided by Justin Erickson and Mark Simpson. That is art and graphic design. Game is for 4 to 8 players, recommended age 17 and up, because it's based on John Carpenter's The Thing. Plays in about an hour to 2 hours. 2 hours is really pushing it. And it normally will carry an MSRP of $59.95. So let's swing on over to the other camera because I've got it all set up. Wow. The show's already an hour old and I'm just getting into the how to play and review. Oh yeah, I'm sure someone is going to comment and be like, oh, I can't believe it's a whole hour and didn't even get to see the game yet. Remember I tell you, look at the show notes? Okay, so anyway, so we've got the rules here. We're going to kind of tour the board a little bit. I'm going to show off some stuff. So we got the rules. I got to be honest. I mean, it's not horrible. It's not horribly done as far as the rules go. But I will point out, this could have very easily been a few pages shorter and made more sense with a nice edit. If somebody had gone through this maybe once or twice more and edited this, the game, because the rules of the game are easy. The game, it's actually pretty easy to play this game, but when you start looking through the rules here, you're like, whoa. I mean, Grant. Okay, so if you're like me and you're used to playing like old Avalon Hill games and SPI games, no, you're not sitting there going, whoa. Saying, oh, sweet, we don't have 100 pages of rules. But yeah, the reality of it is you could have shortened this up. But like I said, not terrible. I can understand the game. It's just not as intuitive as it could have been, is how I kind of look at it. So we got the rules there. So you're going to set up the board. So if you are a fan of John Carpenter's The Thing, and even the novella that's based on, which, gosh, I can't remember the title of. It's from like the 30s though, because of course John Carpenter's The Thing. Everybody's like, oh well, it's a remake of the 1950s kind of horror science fiction movie, and it is in a way, but it's really more the actual novella. So. Anyway, so the premise basically is we've got this group at a U.S. Research facility in the Arctic, and movie starts off where suddenly there's like a husky running through the snow, and this helicopter's chasing it, and they're shooting at it. It's like, what the hell's going on? I got to point out, John Carpenter's The Thing is one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm a big John Carpenter fan. He seems like he'd be a cool guy to sit down and interview too. But always been a big John Carpenter fan, and I would have to say that The Thing and In the Mouth of Madness kind of. The Thing is still my favorite, but sometimes In the Mouth of Madness, his homage to Lovecraft is a close second, very close second. Also love the soundtrack from the movie The Thing. If I thought I could get away with not getting busted on a copyright infringement, I would have been playing it in the background as the ambient music. All right, so as we take a tour around, if we look at the board here, the board is basically a layout of the outpost, the research outpost, Outpost 31. So we have it broken up into sectors. We've got Sector 1, Sector 2, Sector 3. I've just got some cards that are here. They would normally not just sit there, but I've got these kind of sitting out there so we can see them. So each of the players is going to get, well, each group of players, because you can have 4 to 8 players. So every player or two is going to get some little player aid toss out there for you. It's pretty easy to move along through. So anyway, so we've got the different rooms. We've got blood sample cards. We've got mission log cards. We're going to look at these in just a second. We've got supply cards. We've got various different tokens. We've got some tokens for smoke. If we flip these tokens over, we'll have fire. Hey, where there's smoke, there's fire. Room destroyed tokens. I'll show you where those are going to go in just a second. We have each of the characters. Each have a player board, which we'll take a closer look at these in just a sec. We've got various different miniatures. We've got some special items. So we've got flamethrower, we've got dynamite, we've got rope. We do have other supplies as well in this deck here, but these are important. These are important items here. So got those there. As I mentioned, supply deck. Then we've got a couple of sideboards. So we've got these two sideboards. So the first sideboard here, which I think is pretty wild, that the marker for this is an old computer. Because if you remember, in the movie itself, once they've encountered the thing, the creature from another planet, they actually work out some various different scenarios on the computer, talking about how if the thing gets loose, the thing were to make it back to civilization, it would be able to infect all of the world's population within a certain amount of time, and I think it's like weeks. Because what this alien does is it actually mimics whatever it wants, a different living organism. So early in the movie, it tries to mimic. Well, it actually starts off. It's mimicked the husky. The husky. I know the movie's like 40 years old, so sorry if I'm spoiling it for you. No, I think it's about 35 years old. And all right, sidetrack, right? My best friend Elliot Miller and I still remember going to see The Thing, and we weren't 17 or 8. We weren't 18 because it was rated R. I think we were like 15, like that. But we always looked older. Nobody ever asked us for an ID going to an R-rated movie. So anyway, so my brother had seen it, said, "Oh man, yeah, it's really scary." And Elliot and I are sitting there and we're watching it. We're kind of like, we're like, "Oh, this is a pretty cool movie, but give me a break, man. This isn't. How is this scary?" By the end of the movie, we were all hunched down, like leaning in next to each other, not scared or anything, but I mean, we were like, "Oh man, what's gonna happen? Oh no!" Oh. So, still remember that. So anyway, so this track here is basically showing you. This is kind of like your end game, right? This is how you lose the game. So, as we go along, we're gonna have. This is every time you fail a mission. So, we're gonna take a look at the mission logs in just a sec. But every time you fail a mission, you're gonna move this along. So, we get smoke in the room we're in. Room gets destroyed. Power out. Smoke. Destroyed room. Fire in the current room. Game over. So we only have so many missions that we can fail. Otherwise, we lose. The game's over. And I should say, it's the humans who lose, not the imitation, not the thing. Because at least one of the players is going to represent the thing. And, of course, having already mimicked one of the team members at the Outpost. So anyway, so this is one of the ways that you can lose. So if you fail essentially 7 missions, that's it. Game over. If we fail it before we get out, before we escape. Also, rooms getting destroyed. Because rooms get destroyed not just from this too, but if smoke breaks out in one of the rooms, and that, if we don't take care of that, it'll start a fire. If we don't put the fire out, it'll destroy one of the rooms. So if we have 4 rooms get destroyed in the Outpost, once again, it's game over. This section here is going to show us the different kinds of levels of thing that we're going to encounter, because as the movie goes on, the thing continues to adapt. First, it's basically just this dog thing. Then well, I'll show you the minis too, because it's pretty wild. Anyway, so the thing gets tougher. The thing gets more difficult to destroy. And of course, not only are you worried about there being one of the players or two of the players initially being imitations, you're also going to run across some things as well that have to be killed. Now, one of the wild things about the game too, and actually the movie itself, I do believe, is the imitations don't necessarily know who else is an imitation. So if you start off a game, let's say you've got 8 players, and you end up with a couple of players who are imitations, then they actually don't know who's the other imitation. So it's possible that you may only have one. There's also a way for more of the players to be infected and become imitations as the game progresses. So anyway, here we've got, this is kind of how we're running to try to get to the escape. So we tackle the first sector here, and what we're going to do is we need to do 2 things. We need to find the rope, which is under one of these counters here. We also need to fight Thing 1, which Thing 1 is the dog creature. Let's see, yeah, I think it's focused on that for you. So this is the dog creature. The minis are pretty well done. One thing I have to admit is they are not that soft plastic that we sometimes see with a lot of miniatures that come in games. It is actually pretty, I don't want to say brittle. It's not real soft where you have to always worry about, like, if you painted these up, where you would have to treat the plastic to stiffen it up more, so that when you were picking up the miniatures and that, because the plastic is so soft, the paint flakes off. So this is one of the Thing 3s. There's 2 of those that you end up fighting. Then we've got the Thing 2, which is damn, the character, I can't remember the character's name. It's not Doc Copper. Oh, it's right in here. It is Norris. There we go. That's right. It's Norris. All right. So this is the Norris's head spider creature. Or if you remember the movie, it's like, you gotta be effing kidding me. Okay. So we got the creatures there. We've got the gun token here that moves around to whoever is the captain. So anyway, as I was saying, with this board here, we need to take care of each of these things so we can move along and finally escape. In the helicopter, get away. And another way that the humans lose is if somehow an imitation ends up being on the helicopter that escapes at the end. If we're able to, if the humans have a team, you basically pick a team who's going to escape on the helicopter. If we've allowed one of the imitations on board, then that's also a loss. So really, the only way for the humans to win is to escape and have everybody on that helicopter be a human. So basically, the game is going to start off. We've got 3 different types of characters. And as you can see, the artwork is based on the movie itself. So, of course, McCready, that's Kurt Russell. Childs is Keith David. We've got Wilford Brimley is Blair. I swear, after the Thing, I couldn't see anything with Wilford Brimley in it and not think, oh yeah, John Carpenter's The Thing. Even like Cocoon. So, all right, so we've got the 3 different types. We've got this kind of like ops, science, and strangely enough, it's like maintenance, but McCready's not like maintenance. He's the helicopter pilot. So, but that's how they've got it broken up. So what you're going to do is, based on the number of players, you're going to have one player is going to be the first captain, and the first captain is going to get to choose their character. Now, these characters are all pretty much the same, except they have special powers when they are the captain. So being the captain is going to rotate around. So, anyways, so for an example here, when McCready's the captain, once per round, you can pass an investigation. All players on the team may discard one card. If you pass an investigation, you may discard one card and draw another. 2, add 1 or minus 1 to any 1 die. Then, of course, there's like a little quote or note. You've got a little area here for your supply cards. They are single-sided. I thought it's kind of funny. It says, personnel files do not duplicate, which is, of course, exactly what the thing does, what the alien does. It duplicates the humans. So what you'll do is, first player is going to say, okay, well, I'm going to take character. And of course, if you see in the movie, everybody's going to say, I want to be Kurt Russell. What are you talking about, man? I'm taking Kurt Russell. So what happens next is the next player has to take a character from a stack that has the most characters left. Okay? So simply enough, once somebody takes McCready, then the next person's got to take one of the characters from these two stacks. Say they take Blair. So the third player is going to have to take somebody from this stack here. And that's essentially all they basically do. Like I said, the characters aren't really all that different except for their captain powers. Now, the reason why they've got these different characters broken up into the 3 different factions, 3 different specialties, is because in the mission log, it may tell you that you need to have so many players of a certain specialty, or you may need to have a player of each specialty as part of the team. It'll tell you how big the team has to be as well, depending on the number of players in the game. So we've got the mission logs here. We've got these little room destroyed and power out. Basically, if the power's out in a room, that just means that you need to have a flashlight to be able to enter in here. And room destroyed basically means that, well, you're closer to losing over here, and you can't enter that room anymore. Okay, so then we got the supply card. So each of the players, you're going to have 5 supply cards. Now, these supply cards could be a variety of different things. And the cards are super easy to read, right? Here you go. Axe, +2 dice. Knife, +1 dice. Molotov cocktail. Reveal and discard player's discard, then draw a card. Petri dish, 0. Gun, 3 dice. There are also... All right, oh, there we go. Sabotage cards, which are bad things. So you got to remember, one of the players, at least, is going to be an imitation. Oh, and I should point out, you're going to find that out by using the blood sample deck. And there are rules, depending on the number of players, how you're going to set up the initial deck and the remaining deck. So for an example, if you had 4 players, you're going to start off 3 human, 1 imitation. Then you're going to create a blood sample deck, 7 humans, 1 imitation. There are 4 imitation cards in this total. In total, there are 4 imitation. Wow, that's back-to-back imitation. Switch that up. So the first thing, everybody's going to pick their characters, then you're going to create the little deck to start off. You're going to deal the cards out. Each player is going to take a look at their cards secretly. Human, you're safe now. So you're going to have the humans, then you're going to have the imitation. So the whole point is, remember, the imitation is trying to screw with the players, with the humans, right? Because basically, does not want the humans to be able to get away, to be able to escape and only be humans. Because the whole thing is, if you've seen the movie, basically what happens when the outpost gets destroyed, the thing is out there. The thing was found in the ice because part of the team goes to the Norwegian outpost, and they find where the Norwegians found a UFO that has crashed and had actually sunk into the ice, and that's where this thing is from. So if the thing doesn't get away, the thing is just going to freeze again, and once again just be in the ice. It's not going to be able to go out there and infect the world, which is what it wants to do. So anyway, so you're going to have your blood sample cards. So you're going to do that. So you're going to know who's your humans and who's your imitation. And if you're the imitation, you got to be very careful. And this kind of first game that people are going to start thinking of is like Battlestar Galactica, or oh gosh, the hell's the no, I can't. Something Camelot, where one of the knights is the traitor. But anyway, so you're gonna have one of the players is actually working against everybody else. But the thing is, you have to be kind of quiet about it, because there's ways for a player, if everybody figures out someone's an imitation, it's pretty easy to cut them out of the proceedings to make sure that they don't mess with you. They don't try to screw the mission so that we fail. So it can happen. You can even tie them up, because remember, we've got rope. So we can tie somebody up and prevent them from being the captain for their turn. And if you've got 7 or 8 people playing, and it gets to the point where it's come around to the person who everybody's positive is an imitation. Of course, you can't reveal it until the end. But if everybody's positive, you can tie them up with a rope, keep them out of the proceedings, and they're not going to get a chance to be a captain in the game, because the game progresses pretty quickly, and it doesn't take that long to play. So what's going to happen every turn is you're going to have somebody who's going to be the captain. Okay, so the captain's going to get the gun, and it's like a line from the movie too. Whoever's got the gun is the boss. Whoever's got the gun gets to be the boss. So the captain is going to draw a mission log card. So it's going to say, okay, 4 to 5 players. So I need a team. So you're going to have the captain. So the captain themselves, their character here is going to, and to be honest, they do break these up into the 3 different colors. But if you're not overly familiar with the movie, you may have a little bit of a hard time figuring out who is who. Myself, personally, since I've seen the movie umpteen times, I did not have that problem. But here's McCready. Flamethrower and his hat. It's like a sombrero. Hell no, not really. Okay. All right, so what's going to happen is the captain is going to draw a card here that's going to tell you, okay, so what do you need to do? So you're going to go, that's going to say, all right, 4 to 5 players, you need 1 scientist, 1 ops player, plus the captain. So that's the team you're going to have to put together. You're going to choose to go to one of these locations that you have not gone to yet. And of course, you'll know that you haven't gone to them yet because you've got the tokens here. So, Captain, now sometimes a mission may tell you where you got to go. But if it doesn't, then you get to choose which one you're going to go to, and you choose the team that's going to go. Because everybody's in the rec room. Let's do like this. There we go. We got a big 8-player game. So anyway, so now the captain's going to pick other players, other characters who are going to be part of the team. So they say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to take, so I need an ops guy. I'm going to take Gary, and I'm going to take Fuchs, right? Because Fuchs is one of the scientists over here. And then they'd say, okay, so here we go. We're going to go to the manager's office, because everybody starts in the rec room. Everybody ends up back in the rec room every turn. That's why you'll notice there's actually no token, no counter that's upside down in the rec room here. So just for the heck of it, let's just do this. I got the wrong guys, but it doesn't. Anyway. So, okay, so that's our team. So that's who goes to go check it out. Now, because I'm the captain and I got to choose who's on my team, I hopefully think that these guys are not imitations. Unless I were an imitation. Because then I'd be like, well, I think Bob over there is also an imitation. I think I'll try to take him with on the team. So what's going to happen is it's going to tell you what you need to do. So once you get to the room that you're going into, each of the players, including the captain, has to take one of their supply cards and add it to... Oops, I got 5 here. Oh, there's a sabotage. So as an example, let me get rid of this. It says, okay, reveal all cards if at least 4 have exactly +1 dice value. Pass. So, of course, based on this is how many you got to bring, right? So you're going to need to bring 4 to 5. That. Back of it. And one has to be a scientist. One has to be ops. So, if you took 5 players, if the team is 5 players, I should say, you're going to have 5 cards to work with. So, if everybody were a human, they'd be sitting there going, okay, well, I know that we have to have at least 4 + 1 dice values for us to pass this mission. So it'd be like, okay, well, if I'm human, I'm going to say, well, okay, so I'm taking a knife. Now, it's going to be tossed in to the captain face down. And then the captain's going to shuffle up the cards to make sure that they don't know whose card was what. And you got to make sure that you kind of keep an eye on some of the players, because they have to make sure that they shuffle them up so they can't tell who handed in each of these supply cards. So then you're going to look and you're going to go, okay, so first off, I've got a sabotage. It says 1 step behind. Captain discards from their own hand a card with a minimum value of +2 dice for the investigation battle fails. Womp womp. Well, that would stink. So, say for an example, somebody tossed that in. Well, if that pops out, I got a pretty damn good idea that somebody in that team I picked is an imitation, because you're not going to want it. If you're a human, you're not throwing sabotage cards in there. Now, if you wanted to be a little sneakier, you could toss in a petri dish, which has a 0 dice value. Now, you could play it out. You could not say anything, but you could always say, "Yeah, I didn't have a +1. I don't have any +1s," because you're not supposed to be showing everybody your supply cards. Those are supposed to be secret. So what'll happen is, well, you either pass it or fail it. So if you do pass the mission, take the card, put it in the discard. You're going to reveal, oh, look at that. Dun, dun, dun. I did not set this up this way either. You're going to reveal the token that's in the room. So this is thing 1. So that means we need to fight thing 1. So now we're going to get to, and of course we could put these in the, they're going to go into the discard. So now what'll happen is, now each of the players is going to have to add another card from the supply that's in their hand. Once again, just like we did for the mission, now we're going to do it to fight the things. So on this card here, it tells you. So we're fighting thing 1. So we're level 1. This is section 1. Section 1 is level 1. Same thing. 3 rolls to get 3 of a kind. So, everybody's going to be kicking in the various cards. So, you know, if I'm a human, I'm sitting there going, well, we may want to save the gun for later on in the game. I'm not kicking an axe. This would add 2 dice to the pool to roll dice. So let's say after all that's said and done, I get 5 dice. So out of these 5 dice, I get 3 rolls to come up with 3 of a kind. All right, so right there we've got a couple of 4s. So I got 2 rolls. I need to get another 4 in these 2 rolls. Nope, uh-oh. Now I got the 2 6s and 2 4s. So what I could do is say, okay, well, I'm going to roll this 1 die. I'm going to keep these because all I need is a 4 or a 6. It's your decision. You're the captain, right? The captain's going to make the decision on this. And this is kind of another way that if you're the captain and you're, you know, in imitation, you're infected, you can kind of mess around a little bit, especially if you have bad luck rolling dice. So here, okay, there, prime example there. So we would have failed. An example, if I kept the 4s, still would have failed. Doesn't matter. Right, so we would fail. So let's say, for an example, it was successful. What we would do is we would simply take the thing. And you can either use the counter, or you can actually just take, if you want to be a little flashier, take the miniature and put it on the thing 1. So let's say, for an example, that's what we did. So let's say we defeated the thing, we got our 3 of a kind, then we know that that's it. That turn's going to end. Everybody's going to go back to the rec room, and everybody's going to, everybody who was part of the mission who kicked in cards are going to redraw from the supply deck in order to still have 5 cards in hand. If you were left behind in the rec room, you're allowed to take one of your cards and discard it and draw a new card. So if you're a human and you're in the rec room and you got sabotage card, you're like, yeah, I want to get rid of this sabotage card. But of course, all the discards are face down, so you're not going to see what's been discarded. Now, one of the other aspects in the mission as well as the battle is if there's a sabotage card, the captain has to reveal it and do whatever it says. Once they've done that, they can choose to discard a card and draw another card from the supply. So, as an example, if somebody was the imitation, they're going to get rid of a good card, looking to hopefully replace it with a sabotage card or just some crap, right? So, for an example, if I were the imitation and we were going to fight the thing, I would probably, if we had a +3 gun or +3 dice gun in there, I would be getting rid of it. And of course, what's going to happen is if I did that, and of course the player who threw in the gun is going to be like, well, what happened to the gun? I put a gun in there. And you can be like, what are you talking about? No, you didn't. There was no gun. So once again, it's got that kind of like a little social deduction, a little, you gotta lie, gotta lie about stuff. I will point out that if you get upset about like confrontation in a game, we played this a good amount of times. If you have a problem with confrontation, this is probably not going to be your kind of game. So, and if you don't like hidden traitor games, you're certainly not going. Shadow over Camelot. That's it. I don't know why I couldn't. Hey, I zoned on that. If you're into like hidden traitor games, you'll like this. If you don't like hidden traitor games, you are not going to like this. Right. So what you're going to continue to do is you're just going to kind of move along with the various. Each player's, the Captain C is going to move, and what you're looking to do is we're looking to find. Now we need to find the rope. We already killed the level 1 thing, so we're cool there. We're way ahead of the game so far. So now the next captain, same kind of thing. They're going to pull a mission log card. You're going to say 3-player team, you need to have 1 ops player. Shuffle, then reveal a random card. If it's copper wire, you pass. So this is like really, this is tough. And there are some missions where it kind of like, seriously, really? Okay. So it's kind of like, better hope every one of those players, well, hopefully, every one of the players are human and they got a copper wire. Because what they're talking about here is shuffle then reveal a random card. You're shuffling the cards that are given to the captain. You're not shuffling and just taking a card from the supply to try to pass that mission. Otherwise, that'd be ridiculous. That'd be almost an auto fail. But still, it's still kind of a tough mission because, you know, if nobody's got a copper wire, you're immediately going to fail. But what you'll end up doing is you'll just continue to move around the different buildings, different rooms, I should say, in the building. I'm looking at the sheds and outbuilding. I think this is supposed to be where they put the heck's his name? The character that Blair. There you go. Well, I think this is the outbuilding that they put Blair in. I think that's what this is supposed to be. The shed out there. There is no shack for McCready. There's no McCready shack in this. But anyway, so you're going to try to go to the different rooms, try to successfully complete the mission, and allow yourself... Look at that. I swear to God, I did not set this up. I mean, I set the game up, but I swear, I'm not... This is just completely random. So right here, so that's kind of cool because it's moving us to the next thing. So right here, it's like, okay, so Sector 1 would be clear because we have the rope and we killed the first thing. Now, if we had not killed the thing, what we would have needed to do is we would have needed to take all of the remaining counters in that sector, in that area, so all the ones, you'd have to kind of shuffle these up a little bit and then turn them back on here. So what that's effectively telling us is that actually the shed is next one too. No, that's right. Shed's part of it. So now it'd be like, okay, because the thing basically skittered away and now we have no idea where it's at. So, but if you've cleared out some rooms and you've gotten equipment and stuff and you fail to kill the thing, you don't have all that many rooms in that. Plus what you'll do is when you get to that point, then you're kind of like, okay, let's just roll a die. Okay, so room 4, there we go. Room 3, there we go. Something like that. So when you complete the mission successfully, you reveal what these tokens tell you. So you may have it where it's discard. Well, captain discards card. Might have the rope. So the captain gets the rope. Whoever's the captain gets whatever the counter says. So it could be dynamite. It could be the rope. It could be a flamethrower. So once you have actually killed the thing and gotten a rope, you can move on to Sector 2. Now, if you wanted to, I mean, because there's a couple of ropes, if it was that big a deal, somebody really wanted another rope, they could decide, hey, I want to try to find that other rope and go back to the first sector. I'd be a little suspicious if somebody was doing that, but the rope works where, like I said, the rope will stop a player who you think is assimilated from being able to be a captain. So, which means that they're not going to be able to go off on a mission and try to intentionally, blow the mission. Plus, like I said, if you figure out somebody who is the imitation, you can refuse to include them in your in your teams when you pick, unless you have to take them because of their specialty. So anyway, so what'll happen is we're going to do blood tests. So when we go from this sector 1 to sector 2, it shows right here assimilation. So we have to check for assimilation. So it basically means there's a possibility that the players could be infected. So you're going to take the blood sample deck that you already set up, and each of the players is going to get, now remember, say we had 4 players, right? So this blood sample deck would be 8 cards. Now remember, the players already have a blood sample card. And of course, if you remember the movie, doing the blood test was like super highlight of the movie. One of the coolest scenes, especially the aftermath, has one of the funniest lines in all movies, in my opinion. So anyway, so each of the players is already going to have a blood sample card. They got that in the beginning of the game to tell them if they're human or if they're an imitation. So now every player is going to get a new card. So what you'd end up doing is, let's say, players, this is mine, and I get another card. Of course, these are hidden. You're not showing these off. So then what I would do is, I'm going to keep one of these cards, and then I'm going to discard the other one. So you're only ever going to have one card showing if you're human or if you're imitation. Now, for an example, if I were human and I got the imitation, well, guess what? Now I'm an imitation. I have to discard the human card and keep this hidden. And now I'm going to play against the other players. So the game does change up a little bit because, of course, to start the game off, you're most of the time you've got one, unless you're doing 8 players. Then it's possible you'll have the 2 who are infected. You'll never have more than 4 because there's only 4 imitation cards in the deck. But it is possible, if you were playing an 8-player game, it's possible that you could have almost basically half the players as imitations. So that's what you'll do there. So you're going to continue to take your missions, and there are some missions. Let's get to one where it's, there you go. Smoke in current sector. Roll to determine the room. So let's say we're in sector 2 at this point. So we're going to roll. Okay, so we got a 6. So we've got smoke in the infirmary. Well, hopefully we got a fire extinguisher. Somebody's got a fire extinguisher in their equipment. Because, of course, unless you're an imitation, then you're like, no, I don't have a fire extinguisher, sorry. Because if we don't handle the smoke will eventually become a fire. And then the fire will eventually become a destroyed room. And if a room gets destroyed, well, we're going to be out of luck as far as the equipment that may have been in that room. Which will help us, right? Like dynamite or something like that. So we have to make sure that we try to get over there and put that take care of the smoke, or if it turns into a fire, put that fire out. There are also missions that will say power out. So if that were the case, then we take the power out card, we cover that up, cover the room up, and now, in order to be able to enter this room, somebody has to have a flashlight in their supply. There's a fire extinguisher for me. And what happens is you discard those. So, like, for an example, if we had a room on fire and we would have to say, okay, well, we're going to have to go take a mission, and your mission is actually going to take place in that room, you would get rid of you would discard the fire extinguisher from your hand. Or if it was, power out, you would have to discard that flashlight. The whole point is, once you've been in a room and you've gotten the counter, there's no reason for you to return to that room. Only way you'd ever return to the room is if smoke breaks out or a fire breaks out. If the power goes out in a room and you've already been in there, who cares? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You don't have to go back. So, all right. So you're going to continue doing your missions. Hopefully you're going to continue to pass those missions. So eventually you'll get to the point where you have fought both Thing 3s, which are these big ones here. It's here. And you've got one of the flamethrowers, at least one of the flamethrowers. Now, the flamethrower is interesting because you can use the flamethrower to torch a player. So basically, you can use the flamethrower to get rid of a player. This is like at the end anyway, so it really isn't player elimination, except towards the end of the game. Because you're not going to get the flamethrower until you're over in Sector 3 anyway. But the flamethrower is a good thing to use when like you have it and you think that one of the other players is definitely an imitation, but the other players don't think so. You can torch them. You can use it as a blood test, or you can also use it to get 3 rolls in an attack. Not 3 dice, but 3 rolls. There's dynamite too. So, and I'll tell you, you get 2 uses to the flamethrower. You get 2 uses to the dynamite. You get the rope, you only get to use the rope once. But there's quite a bit of rope floating around. So eventually you're going to get to the point where, all right, you've got your remaining players. Well, maybe somebody got torched by the flamethrower, maybe somebody didn't. The next to last captain. Once you get to the point, whoever is the captain, once we get to the point where the 2 things are dead and the flamethrower, a flamethrower has been recovered, that captain is going to get to choose the final captain. They choose who is the last person who's going to be playing the captain. And what that captain does is they determine who's getting off, who's getting onto the helicopter, who's going to get to escape, because not everybody's going to escape. It's impossible. You can't get everybody on the helicopter is basically how it's going to work. Even if you had 4 players, you're still not getting all 4 players out on the helicopter. And it'll tell you based on the number of players how many players are going to get out to escape. So the final captain decides, okay, I'm taking you, I'm taking you, I'm taking you. You ain't coming. Not coming, Dooley. And everybody says, okay, we're on the helicopter, we're taking off, and then everybody has to reveal their blood sample cards. And you need to hope that everybody who's on the helicopter is human, and then the humans win. Even the people, the players who were left behind, it's they sacrifice themselves to save humanity, sort of thing. But if you get one of the cards shows up as being imitation, then the humans have lost and they've actually unleashed the imitation on the world. So that is effectively how you play the Thing infection at Outpost 31. So what do I think? What do I think of the game? I've been talking about it now for like 50 minutes as far as the how to play. So I like it. I think the component quality is really nice. I like how the artwork is based on the movie. Now there's another there's another game. Yeah, there's actually another The Thing that sort of like the prequel that was terrible. There is another game that's coming out. It is based on the novella. So, and interestingly enough, in the novella, a lot of the characters actually have the same names, like McCready. So I like the artwork. I like how it's based on John Carpenter's The Thing. There is that whole kind of tension of, all right, so who's the thing, who's not? Who's an imitation, who's not? So I like that. I like that, you got to, mum's the word. Everything that the captain has to kind of shuffle up the cards that you get to take on the mission to try to, achieve the mission so that they can't tell whose card is whose. So I dig all that. One thing that I like the minis. Like I said, the component quality is really nice. Did mention the rules are not as intuitive as they could have been, but they are not terrible. I did not have to go jump online to try to find an FAQ or a how to play or any kind of like errata. But like I said, it could have been edited a little nicer, shortened up, been a little more terse and to the point, and cleared some stuff up. Now there is actually like a little FAQ in the rule book at the back. So that's kind of a little bit of a knock. Do want to point out, once you're infected, you're you can't go all out trying to like mess things up, because eventually you're going to get found out. And especially if like you're tossing in like a sabotage card, and you're like, no, I put in an axe. I put an axe card in, and the captain's like, no, there were no axes that I had. And the thing is, you can't go back through the discard pile. It's basically, you say that's what it was, then that's what it was. Things would just get, actually, the game would suffer if it was like, well, I'll tell you what, we can go through the discard pile, and I can prove that No, it's the discard pile is face down. Once something gets discarded, that's it. You can't see it again. But it does get to the point where if you're the infected, yeah, it just doesn't feel like you got as much that you can do. You gotta kind of play it straight. You can't get all crazy like, oh yeah, I'm really gonna throw a big monkey wrench into the plans here. You gotta be kind of subtle as far as how you try to make sure, if you're chosen for a crew or a team to go on the mission, you gotta be pretty subtle on how you mess things up. Unless you want to get caught. But if you get caught, and once again, you don't have to reveal that, oh yeah, I'm an imitation. But if it gets to the point where everybody thinks, yeah, they're an imitation, then what you're basically looking at is you get cut out of the game. Nobody's going to pick you to go on the missions. And whenever it comes around to your turn to be the captain, somebody's going to bust out the rope and say, sorry, we're tying you up. You ain't going anywhere, Bubba. So if you're an imitation, you got to kind of play it straight till you get into the third sector, until it's getting close to the end of the game. And then you can be a little more overt as far as working against the other players. Because remember, there's different ways you can lose. The humans lose if too many rooms get destroyed. Humans lose if they fail too many missions. Humans lose if an imitation gets off in that helicopter and escapes with the rest of the player characters, right? So there's different ways for the humans to lose. There's only one way to win: escape and make sure everybody on that helicopter is a human. So a little bit of a knock as far as once either if you start off as an imitation or if you become an imitation, you're really not approaching the game that much differently until towards like right at the end, right near the end. Another thing I will say is I can't see playing this like 4 players. One of the reasons why it's taken so long for me to finally get a review done is we played with a minimum 6 players, because we gave it a shot with 4, and I gotta be honest, I kind of thought the game sucked. Okay, maybe that's a little harsh. It just wasn't. It didn't grab us, right? But we had played a couple of times with 8 players, and we've played twice with 6 players, and we've had a blast. We've had a lot of fun. But it does say 4 to 8 players. I don't know, 4, even 5. I'm not even sure if you want to go with 5. I mean, you might. I didn't play it with 5, okay? But 6 or more, we had a lot of fun. And I got to point out, there are not a lot of games out there for like 6 to 8 players that are going to be this sort of game. Usually, when you go like 6 or more players, not a lot of times you start getting into the party game sort of territories. I know there are really good board games out there that are for 6 or more players, but not a lot. There's not a ton out there. There are games out there for that many players. Not a lot are awesome. So the reality is, my final score has to be kind of tweaked a little bit. So if you have the opportunity to be able to play the thing, Infection at Outpost 31, with 6 or more players, it's a lot of fun. I certainly super recommend it, especially if you're a fan of John Carpenter's The Thing. You're going to eat this up with a spoon. If the best you can normally do is get like 4 players to your table, I would probably tell you to shy away. Especially now that it's not in print. I think you can find it on like secondary markets for, I don't know, I've seen it for like 140. But I have been told, now I don't know if it's true or not, but I had been told that we are going to see another print run, and we should see The Thing Infection at Outpost 31 for about that $60 MSRP again. So on a score of 1 to 10, I most definitely give The Thing Infection at Outpost 31 an 8.6. If you can get the 6 or more players, you can bump that up a little bit. But if you can only get the 4, I would probably tell you to shy away. You can subtract a couple of points off that score. All right, so that is it for tonight's show. Wow, really long show. Went 2 hours tonight. Made up for Friday's show, right? So I basically had Friday's show and today's show all in one. So I did mention on tomorrow's show, I am going to take a look at Ascension Deliverance from Stoneblade Entertainment and Ultra Pro International. Although here it says Ultra Pro Entertainment, their website says Ultra Pro International. So I don't know. I'll go with the box then. All right, so that is it for tonight's show. As I mentioned all the time, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, please go visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. And now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. I will be back tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.